So what are today's Russian papers saying this morning about Ukraine and tension with the West? Moskovsky Komsomolets. If Vladimir Putin wasn't president of Russia, he'd make a good roller coaster constructor, magician and hypnotist. The events of February 2022 will long remain in the history of the Second Great Cold War as one of its most memorable episodes. But are we witnessing a circus farce, a captivating drama, or the prelude to a tragedy? That will become clear in the space of time. Now, in the centre of the political storm, we can't see the wood for the trees. The writer suggests that the Russian president is taking Biden, the collective West and Ukraine for a roller coaster ride, sending divergent political signals through political statements and by moving military forces. Putin is testing the West and Ukraine to see how strong they are, pressing in different places and carefully analysing where the weak points are, the breaking points, and where they are not. There's an interesting article today in Kommersant which asks, what has Russia achieved in 3 months of diplomatic and military pressure on the West? First, what it's achieved. The US has proposed starting talks with Russia on measures of mutual transparency that would involve not deploying offensive land-based missile systems in Ukraine or regular armed forces with offensive aims. Another positive for Russia's interests is that a discussion is underway among experts in the US and Europe about whether NATO should not enlarge, or at least impose a moratorium on new members, and about Europe needing a different security architecture. Another achievement, US readiness to discuss with Russia arms control. But Russia's diplomatic and military pressure has had many negative effects. Weapons supplies from Western countries to Ukraine have increased sharply. From the point of view of Russia's interests, this is an extremely undesirable trend. And NATO is building up its forces and weaponry on its eastern flank. Another negative for Russia is the rise in anti-Russian sentiment in Ukraine. Plus, NATO's unity in the face of the Russian threat, NATO and EU rapprochement, the increase in those who support the idea of Finland and Sweden joining NATO, alarmist rhetoric about an imminent Russian invasion, and threats of tough sanctions negatively affects Russian share prices and the ruble. Now, I find this quite interesting because Kommersant is not an opposition paper by any stretch of the imagination, but it's openly talking today about all the negatives that Russia's policy is bringing Moscow. As for the pro-Kremlin papers, predictably, they continue to blame the West for the tension. In the Russian government paper, Defence Minister Sergei Shoigu tells the UK Defence Secretary, stop cramming Ukraine with weapons. The pro-government Izvestia, rumours that Russia is preparing to attack Ukraine are being exaggerated by America to raise its own international prestige.